Thanks very much for coming, and best wishes to you in your.
It should have been members who, in any
After
committee,
calling
members
Deputy
go first.
MacSharry,
They don't have
would
to
you take the 10 minutes or will I move on then?
No, I'm going on. Yeah. Thanks very much. Wish you well in your new role. Can I just ask, of the existing management team, apart from Mr. O'Connor, who has anybody got an engineering, a QS, or a valuer qualification?
Mr. Casey here is a chartered engineer.
You're an engineer, and that's it, is it?
Yeah. I think they're the only technical qualifications on the board. Yeah, he's acknowledged that.
No, so the exception, Mr. O'Connor, we have an engineer. What form of engineer? Are you civil or?
Civil engineer.
Civil engineer. And the other, there's no QS or valuer or other engineer, no?
Not that I'm aware of, no. No.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for clarifying that. Can I ask, are you aware of the preferred measured term maintenance contractor? Does that company, or do those companies have loyalty arrangements with suppliers, whereby if they pass a threshold of supply, that they gain a rebate?
The two contractors on the measured term contract are Peter Hegarty's and Sorry. I'm not aware of any loyalty.
Would you not ask that question?
I think, Deputy, the way the contract is constructed is done in a competitive.
Well, I'm more interested in common sense approach. Yeah. That if I'm a buyer of steel or a buyer of granite, and I'm buying because I'm doing so much work, because I'm a good contractor and I'm doing work for the state and private and so on, have I rebate arrangements with suppliers, albeit that they win tenders, whereby if I do so much business with them over the course of 1 year or 2 years or 6 months, or on an individual contract basis, that I would gain a rebate?
Deputy, as I said, I'm not aware if there's
any...
any...
Can you acquire and inform the committee very specifically if such arrangements, with any of the materials used by the contractors, with those suppliers who, albeit may have won tenders for the likes of steel or granite, have rebate arrangements with them?
Can I make one comment on your question, Deputy, if I may?
Sure.
We put these contracts to tender on a competitive basis. We would expect that suppliers who bid for these contracts do so having regard to the best competitive prices they can provide.
Yeah. No, to be honest...
We don't question how they do that themselves.
No, clearly you don't, yeah. With respect. And that's the practice. And I think we're all here because of the practice being flawed in the first place. It would seem to me, with the best respect and experience that the commissioners have, it would be preparation 101 that I'd want a QS on my management team if I were in the OPW.
We have...
If I could just finish.
Yeah.
I think I would want an engineer, not just civil, but mechanical and electrical. I'd want the state architect, who I'm sure is a grade 1 conservation architect and a consummate professional. I'd certainly want a valuer. And by your own admission, we have absences for some of those professions. No doubt lots of experience. Your own background, I think, is on the climate side of public expenditure, isn't that correct?
I have had 38 years experience across the civil
service. Oh, no, indeed, yeah. Did you have any involvement, just as a matter of interest, in the Children's Hospital in your previous? All right. Okay.
No.
No, it's just a reasonable question to ask. Can I ask...
Can I make one comment, Deputy, because I think it's very important for me to make this.
Sure, yeah.
We do have quantity surveying professionals in the office.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
At senior management team level.
I'm sure you do, yeah.
And I
there's just none of them at the top. No, sometimes, even if you have the experience and you don't have the expertise specifically, you mightn't know the question to ask.
But they're at the next level down.
Because you're trusting, just like you trust the person to win the contract to get the best possible price and operate at the highest of standards in governance, you're assuming your QS further down the trough is doing the best possible job. And that's the practice that leads us into trouble. For me, one of the big problems, and to quote what you said earlier, somebody was asking about the identity of who signed off or some aspect of it, and you said, look, I'm very conscious that I want to treat civil servant with the dignity and respect that they deserve at work, and I don't wish to individualise it. Can I suggest to you that this is the problem? in discussing the issue with Mezian Plaza, which, by the way, have we ever got a reduction in rent off Larry Goodman on that particular building when it was mismeasured by the professionals within the OPW?
I'm not sure. Can I ask Kathleen to take that question?
We reached an agreement with the landlord.
Did he reduce the rent?
We reached an agreement.
Did he
with
reduce the rent? It's a straight question.
No, but we
Okay,
did.
that's it.
No, but we did.
He didn't reduce it.
We did reach an agreement with them, Deputy.
What?
Whereby we've got.
He'd take you to lunch once a quarter and wheel out the shadow of a truce because of the 10 million in taxpayers' money that he's getting that he didn't deserve because we mismeasured the building?
No, I did not agree that with them.
Right, well.
What we did agree with them was a 9-month rent-free period at the end of the lease.
In 30 years' time?
In 20 years' time.
In 20 years' time. So the 9 months then will account, how much will that account to?
Off the top of my head now, Deputy, I don't know, but it does mitigate the impact of the.
Mitigate the impact from probably about 10 million down to about 9,300,000.
No, it goes further than that, Deputy.
How much further?
I can't tell you off the top of my
Well,
head
I mean,
now, but
to the nearest 500,000.
it was,
To the nearest 500,000, yeah.
it mitigated it down a lot further.
To the
than
nearest
that.
1 million.
We can get those figures for
No, I
you.
do, but we see these are the things that are needed to be known by the public. The reason I'm bringing this up, Mr. Conlon, is this. Because you want to treat people with the respect they deserve and dignity at work and so on, we want to treat the taxpayers with respect that they deserve. But when I asked your predecessor, was there a disciplinary process afoot because of that absolute Maths 101 mistake? He said, no, it's not a disciplinary issue. In fact, when I asked your former boss at the Department of Public Expenditure, why was there not a disciplinary process? Number one, he didn't even know it had occurred, the Mezian Plaza thing. And number two, and these were his words, we don't operate a gotcha culture in the civil service. So the administrative merry-go-round goes round. What you've said constantly today, an appropriate procurement process took place in line with the rules. What is missing here is cop on, basic common sense. In fact, you're going to waste more money now by getting an external auditor in to make sure you're doing what you want to do. I want to move on to the next question. At what level does expenditure get to year level?
It's on projects over 1 million.
Projects over 1 million. So anything up to 1 million, you don't even know.
Sorry,
From 200,000.
I beg your pardon, sorry.
Oh, that's since yesterday, you were saying.
Sorry, beg your
Up to yesterday, people are spending 999,000 willy-nilly without your approval, is it?
No, the approval thresholds for up to principal officers up to yesterday were 500,000 and now 200,000. So all projects now over 200,000 will have to be run by management board members.
Okay. Can I ask, do you expect the committee members and the members of Oireachtas and the public to believe that the steering group that you have outlined in your review that exists between the Dublin Conservation Unit within the OPW and the Facilities Management Unit in here never discussed the cost of 350,000 plus?
I can ask Rosemary to come in on this, and I find this difficult to understand, to be honest, Deputy, as the new chair. But the practice are going up that there would be discussion on the way the projects were proceeding without regard to costings.
So I want to know, because there's one of these monthly meetings every month, presumably.
Correct.
The facilities management attend the commission. By the way, I'm a former member of this committee, Public Accounts Committee and the commission. So I know about some of the things that go on. I find it absolutely ridiculous in the extreme that somebody with the professionalism and experience as the clerk of the door would not even ask, look, how much is this going to cost?
I find it difficult to understand, Deputy.
Yeah, I find it difficult to believe,
Yeah.
not to understand. I find it difficult to believe. And I think because of what you said, sadly, because of our practice, that let's cover everybody's ass, or put another way, give people with dignity and respect that they want, provided they're on this side of the table. But if they're on that side of the table, i.e. the people ponying up the cash, we have no respect for them. So the outcome of this will be what's always the outcome after 22 experience. You're all going to blame it on systemic failure, and on the merry-go-round will go on to the next security hut or the next bicycle shed. By the way, who decided to face it towards the weather as opposed to sheltered towards the wall? Yeah, that's my last question. Who decided that? I mean, the rain is going to pelt in from the side. If you turned it around, you might have had some shelter for the 6 or 7 bikes that are in it today.
Yeah, the project team that delivered that project would have been part of that decision, Deputy.
Were they? Yeah? Well, I must say, no lessons have been learned in the OPW. None whatsoever. And yeah, listen, you do great work. I was on Skellig Michael over the summer. And by God, you could do well to go down and learn a little bit from the monks. Thanks,
Thank you,
Chairman.
Mr. Chairman.